The Southwest Land Alliance, one of the oldest land trusts in Colorado, recently merged with Colorado Open Lands, which is a nonprofit land trust. The merger will increase the Alliance's capacity to continue protecting the tens of thousands of acres of ranches, farms, open spaces, and cultural heritage found within the south-central parts of Colorado. Colorado Open Lands brings paid staff, expertise, and greater capacity to the work that the Alliance has built over several decades. The Alliance will still have a role in maintaining the relationships they have developed with local landowners.
Part of the merger is based on their desire to do more work in our region. They're looking for opportunities to partner with local land trusts, whether it's partnerships, which we've done in the past. We've partnered with Cattlemen's Land Trust. We've partnered with Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, which is also a land trust. We've partnered with the Conservation Fund and the Trust for Public Lands. SLA has partnered with those organizations, including Colorado Open Lands, that already holds easements in our region as well. This is just a natural blending of the two organizations to get more done in a shorter period of time.
Most land trusts started as volunteer organizations, primarily by ranchers themselves, who were concerned that their ranches and farms would be taken over by developers. They were looking for a way to preserve the land, the iconic views, and their cultural heritage.
The two traditional roles of land trusts are to first try to reach agreements with landowners to remove some of those development rights from the land and preserve some of these larger tracts of open space, whether they are wilderness areas or they're working lands and ranches, whatever it is, we're really trying to preserve those open spaces. And then, as I said, the second obligation of a land trust traditionally is to monitor and maintain those agreements to make sure that the agreements are kept in place.
So Grandpa bought a ranch. He bought 1,000 acres, right? When he bought it, it was $18 an acre, right? Now in Archuleta County, it's $5,000 to $10,000 an acre. Well, Grandpa's 1,000-acre ranch is multi-million dollar property now, with all kinds of multi-million dollar tax implications, including inheritance tax and a whole bunch of things that can really affect ranch families that aren't just wealthy people that own big pieces of property. The original work that we do is designed to help people stay on their properties, continue to ranch, continue to own their ranch properties.
The main tool that land trusts use to protect private land is called a conservation easement. This is a voluntary legal agreement between the landowner and land trust with a shared goal of protecting the private land from being subdivided or developed forever. There are many benefits to landowners, such as tax and estate deductions and federal incentives. There are also many public benefits associated with the work that land trusts do.
There was a sense that private land needed to be protected in order to protect that view, that Colorado, what we consider to be the Colorado viewshed. In addition to that, those lowlands are also wildlife migration, wildlife habitat, watershed, et cetera. So that all of the values that are what we're about here in Archuleta County and in Colorado, in our region, are tied up in those agricultural lands. And a lot of our heart is tied up in those lands as well. And in a town like Pagosa Springs, a lot of our history is wrapped up in those ranches and those families, and those views are not just about a pretty view. They're about one, maybe two families sort of stewarding those properties for generations and generations.
Whiting mentioned that a lot of the work that the Southwest Land Alliance has done can be seen by driving up many of the county roads that we are all familiar with in Archuleta County, like Trujillo Road, Mill Creek Road, 4 Mile Drive, Snowball Road, as well as others.
They were really able to do a couple of really big, iconic conservation projects. There's a lot of land and some significant undivided ranches around the headwaters of the Navajo River. And then there's probably the property that most folks are familiar with in Pagosa Springs it's the Bootjack Ranch, which is that ranch that really sits on the western slope of the pass that anybody coming in and out of Pagosa Springs drives through the middle of that ranch, and all of that land is conserved and will remain open space and working land because of the efforts of Southwest Land Alliance. So it's some of the most beautiful and iconic land in the state, really. And that's an incredible legacy for the organization to have.
Tens of thousands of acres of our views, the ones we drive by every day and get to enjoy, et cetera, and buffers between our community and public lands are permanently protected as a result of a few really visionary people back in the early 80s standing up for the Southwest Land Alliance and other land trusts. It's a super cool thing to be involved in.
If you are a landowner in Southwest Colorado who would like to learn more about preserving your land through a conservation easement, you can contact Michael Whiting by email at singletrackadvisors@gmail.com or by visiting coloradoopenlands.org. Thank you for watching this edition of Pagosa Local News.